Hey everyone, this is Jordan from Sleeklens.com. In this video, it's going to be a little bit different from the videos we have been making, but in this video we're going to talk about basically how to dissect a photo in order to learn how to edit like other photos you might see online. Now this is not a way to directly copy a photo that you see online, but this is just to show you the different tools in Lightroom, and also this works in Photoshop, but the different tools that you could use to get similar effects to the types of photos you might see online. So an example here is we have this city scene, and it's a nice warm scene sort of, and then we have this photo here. I really like the editing style of this photo, so I want to make this photo look like the other photo. So we're doing this in Lightroom, but you can also do this in Photoshop, but I found it easier to do this in Lightroom because we can use what's called a reference view. So we have this photo here. This is our photo that we're going to be editing. But if we go here over to in Lightroom, we click the RA button, there's a little icon that says RA on it. So we click here, and this is where we can have this separate panel here to show a reference photo. This is a photo that won't be edited, but it will just be on the screen so you can reference back and forth how this photo over here on the right will look. So to add the reference photo here, all you do is just click over here, drag it up, and now you have this photo here on the left. So we're going to do all of our edits to this photo right here, and we can just reference back to this one. So first of all, what we need to do is look at the photo, the reference photo, and see what we need to do. So most likely for this image, we need that cool tone to the image. So what we're going to do is actually turn our photo black and white and then apply the cool colors to this image. Then we can work on adding some of the little fog that we have up here just to try to mimic it as much as possible. But this again is just to show you the ways of dissecting your reference photos to make them look more like your active photo that you're getting ready to edit. So let's go over here to basic. We're just going to go ahead and apply this black and white, and we have the basic tone of our image here. That looks okay. We're going to actually take the contrast up a bit and maybe the dehaze up a little bit as well. So now we have our more or less our tone. We can always come back, obviously. We're going to go down to split toning. So split toning down here, this is where we're going to apply some of the colors to our shadows and highlights. So for our shadows, that's going to be most of this dark area here. Let's go ahead and bring a blue to it. And you can see we're starting to already get to that tone here. And this is where you're just kind of feeling it out, trying to match the tone, going back and forth to making sure you're getting that right color there. So that's looking pretty good right there. We're going to add a tiny bit of warmth to our highlights. Not a whole lot. We're going to go to our yellows here, take the saturation up a little bit, right around there. So we have right now we have our hue for our highlights set at 41, our saturation at 5, and then our shadows, our hue at 209, and our saturation at 14. So if we look at this and we're seeing that it looks pretty good, we can actually finesse it a little bit with the balance and bring in more of the warmth or more of the cool tones. We had it pretty much right at the 0 marker, so I'm going to reset that. So we have our colors. Our colors are pretty much dialed in there. It's looking pretty good. And so now what we need to do is correct the tone a little bit more. I'm actually going to go down to our tone curve, and I'm going to go to our monochrome tone curve, and I'm going to play with bringing those shadows down a little bit more to make it more dark. You can see we have a lot of dark here. So bringing that down, and then let's take our highlights and just bump them down a little bit as well, because it is kind of foggy. It has less contrast in this area, so we're going to do that. We're going to bring that down, see what that does. That gives us more contrast, so we'll bring this part down here. So there we go. That is pretty much the basics of the image edit there. One last thing we're going to do just to try to give a little more characteristics of this photo, we're actually going to apply a radial filter. So I'm going to go over here to the radial filter, and I'm going to drag a radial filter that's more long, more oval shaped up at the top, and this is going to act as a little bit of fog. You can see it's really foggy up here, so what we're going to do is make sure it's a little bit foggy on our image as well. So I'm going to take my mask. My mask is currently inverted to where it's going to affect everything outside of the circle. You can see that just like that, it affects everything outside. So we're just going to invert it here, and now all of our edits will be applied to this radial filter. I'm going to take my feather up a little bit to around 75, and for the fog I'm going to take the clarity down, take the dehaze down a little bit as well, and now I can play with this to get that fog right here at the top. And if we want to feather it out even more, we can do that and make the circle a little bit bigger to make it more of a softer transition. And maybe take the exposure down a little bit. Now, one thing we can do for this is there is a little bit more blue in the sky here. I don't know if that's coming off through the video, but there's a little bit more blue overall. And for that, I'm just going to take the temp down to right around here in the blue. So there we go. So again, this is not a way of directly copying images, but this just gives you the tools that you can use to see a photo that you like online and kind of play around with the settings to see what you can do, how you can get that exact same tone in your photos. So thank you for joining me in this video. This has been Jordan from Sleeklens, and I'll see you in the next one.